Hi, Chris here. Thanks for stopping by my channel, All Time Jack. Today I'm going to build this negative rake carbide tip turning handle with stuff that I just have here. The only thing I had to go get was some more 10-minute epoxy. This is mahogany and hard maple. Should make a beautiful tool. I've already joined it and planed it. Very important to do that to have a perfectly flat surface for a seamless glue up. Going to get some Type Bond 3 down, clamp it up. These clamps are okay to kind of get it started, but they're not strong enough for what we need to do, so we'll put some heavier duty clamps on here in a minute. You don't want to get too much glue on here either, because sometimes it won't squeeze out right or all the way. And I got it on there a little bit heavy, so I won't put glue on the other side. Here's some heavier duty clamps, and I'll just keep putting clamps on it till I see the squeeze out that I like, what I'm used to, what I know works. Get a few more clamps on here, and then we'll let it cure up. And then take them off. I'm really happy with that. Gonna get a good, crisp, seamless joint right down the middle of the tool handle. Just gonna check my measurements and darken the lines up a little bit and run it through my bandsaw. I have a bigger blade for ripping these thicker hardwoods, but I didn't want to change it out just for this one cut. That 1/2-inch blade ripped through it just fine. Just slow and easy. Don't push too hard. I'm just going to square off the ends here, get it ready to go on the lathe. This is a Walker Turner driver line. I believe it's a 1939. I got this old lathe from my uncle, and I love it. Now let's get it roughed down. I have a longer tool rest, but for some reason I just like using the old one that came with the machine. I'm about to upgrade this lathe to a 1 horsepower 3-phase 208/230 variable frequency drive. I'll do a video on that. I think it'll be really neat. Just about down where I'm going to get some measurements and then start shaping it. A little bit more. That's looking good. Now I'm going to change the chuck jaws out and get it chucked up. This is a Nova set. Some of the chucks you can get these days are pretty neat. Different jaw sets you can change out and go from doing pins to a little bit larger things. They work really well for little stuff like this. They're not terribly expensive either. Just going to get a measurement real quick, and then get it in the lathe, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn this down and get it ready to accept a ferrule. You want to be very careful here. Absolutely do not want to go too small. Just about done. Looking pretty good. Going to pull it off of here and check the fit. That's just a 3-inch brass nipple, and I'll cut it down and then turn it down. Now let's put the chuck on. If you like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. You can also check out some of my other videos, and I got a lot more coming up. Tighten her up. Don't leave the key in the chuck. What I'm going to do here real quick is just turn a little relief into the bottom there for when I hammer the ferrule on. And now I'll get a MT2 chuck installed, and we'll put a 11/16 drill bit in it. Tighten it up, and then I'm going to put a little mark on here so I know where to stop. And then we'll drill us a hole. Now move this out of the way, remove the drill bit, and then we'll get the ferrule ready. Now I'll mark this where I need to cut it. I'll go cut it over on my bandsaw and mix up some epoxy. Don't need a whole lot of epoxy here, just good and consistent all the way around. That's a real good tight fit. Slide it on and hammer it on. Now I'm going to turn it down. And I picked this nipple for a reason, because the threads don't go all the way across. The middle of it's real thick. And so I cut it from the middle, and it's going to be kind of a bell shape. And the bottom part will have a little added strength. Going to shine it up a little bit with some sandpaper. I'm going to put some reference marks down. And I didn't want to make an exact copy of the easy handle. I really like that handle though, so I wanted to be real close. So I'm going to change the back end up a little bit, and it's going to be about an inch shorter. Custom fit, just for me. I'm going to go down to an exact predetermined depth here, and that'll give me the reference to do the front half. And then I'll do the same thing for the back. This thing's shaping up really nicely and really smoothly. I'm real happy with it so far. Gonna hit it with some 120 and then run through the Rockler roll, which I think is 150 to 600. Sand with the grain in between grits, or you will regret it, especially when you put the finish on. And let's get some finish on it. We're going to start with some Danish oil. This is going to be a 2-part finish. Man, it is looking really good. Beautiful wood, mahogany and hard maple. Be sure and rub this in really evenly. Sometimes it will absorb more in some places, and you need to keep rubbing it into those places till it's all saturated evenly. And now we're going to mix up some secret sauce. It's just wipe-on poly. You can buy it anywhere, or you can just make it. You want to wait 3 or 4 days for the oil to dry before you put any of this on. I'm going to do this at a 50-50 mix. Sometimes I do that differently depending on how much time I'm going to be able to come back and forth to it. Sometimes I'll mix it hotter with the mineral spirits, and sometimes I'll mix it hotter with the poly. The more mineral spirits you use, the faster it'll flash off, the faster you can go back and put subsequent coats on. But also, the more mineral spirits you use, the thinner the coats are. And here I'm just tacking it off with a tack cloth, getting it ready to put the poly on. It don't take much. As soon as it goes on, it starts looking good. Here in Texas with a 50-50 mix, you can come back about every hour and a half or so and put another coat on. Sand in between coats real lightly and build it up to whatever's suitable for you. My magic number seems to be about 7 coats at a 50-50 mix. I like to build a good protective layer up and have a nice shine to it, but I don't like it to get where it looks like plastic or fake wood or something. And you can see it's really looking nice. Going to be a beautiful turning handle. Now I'll microfiber it up to 12,000. Just dip it in a little water, create a little slurry, and go to town. I love these microfiber pads. They are awesome. Be sure and go in order. Don't get out of sequence. You'll really kind of start to see that finished look now as I'm turning it around. You can get these microfiber pads or microfiber cloths, and they both work really well. And depending on what you're doing, one or the other may work better for you. Get the bottom of this done real quick, and then we'll move over to the CNC machine, start cutting the bed for the carbide. some of the bits I'll be using. Gonna chuck up a 1/4-inch O flute to start off with. Touch it off with the touch plate. Gonna cut 2 profiles opposite of each other. I think they were 60 or 61 degrees. Here I just stepped down from a 1/4-inch to an 1/8 inch for a cleanup pass. And get the edges a little sharper. And in case you haven't figured it out, this is 1/2 inch 6061 flat bar with a T6511 temper. And it works just fine for what I'm using it for. I'm not going to be turning any bowls or roughing down any funky stumps or anything like that. And now I'm going to flip it over and engrave it and put a depth mark on it and punch a small hole for the carbide cutter threads. Tape and CA glue will hold it down just fine for that. Now let's do some engraving. I'm building this tool for a very specific purpose. I have carbides that I swap out on my easy tools, and I want a dedicated negative rake for a particular reason. And I don't want to drive the 45 miles to go and get it, and I don't want to pay the $150 for it. So I figured I would just make it. This is all out of my scrap pile except for the cutter. That cutter cost me about 18 or 20 bucks a while back at Rockler. And even if I added everything up that I used and put a price to it, I think I'm probably still only in this for about 45 bucks. Plus the epoxy that I bought that I've used probably $1 worth of on this project. Now it looks like we're done with the engraving, so I'm going to move it over to my drill press and just open that hole up to the right size. Number 29 drill bit for a 832 thread. Good old Mac Tools master tap and die set. Find what we need in here to cut some threads. Cutting 832 threads, put some cutting oil on there, cut some nice threads. Back it out, clean it off pretty good. Just gonna graze it with a file. This particular carbide cutter will require a countersink. Put some anti-seize on the threads as well. Now let's pull it out and get a look. Profile looks nice. Everything looks really good. Perfect. I'm real happy. Let's get some paint on it. I didn't leave quite enough room to get my parting tool in, so we have to cut it off. I'm just going to put a little oil on the ends where it was chucked up. Sure looks nice. Looking really nice. Now I'm just going to use a buckshot out of a couple of shells to add a little weight and balance to it. Get some epoxy mixed up. Don't need a whole lot. It doesn't need to be gushing out of the top or anything. Get some here on the tool and get it ready to put in. All right, time to put it together and see how straight we drilled it. It looks good. It's perfectly straight. Really happy with it. Gonna get the last of this buckshot poured in and seal up the top. Now let's get that paint job looking good. Just gonna run up that Rockler roll, and then I think I'll hit it with some 800 after that, and probably some steel wool, and then some clear. Starting to look pretty good there. And we'll get some clear on there, and it's really gonna look good. Nice. And here we are. Nice, new, beautiful tool. I am very happy with this. It turned out amazing. It looks amazing. It feels great. Let's see how it works. This is mahogany and alder. This is bigger and harder wood than anything I'm ever going to use this particular tool on, and it just cuts like butter. Very nice, very smooth, good balance. I love it. Got a good home for it right here, right next to the easy handle. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to, if you like this sort of thing. I'll see you next time.